I see us all popping in from the waiting room. And welcome to the Delegate question and answer session. As a reminder, this is our opportunity. If you have any questions about the election, any questions at all, we have three seats to be filled on the Leadership Council.
Tenemos 3 puestos para ser ocupados en el Consejo de Liderazgo.
That's being translated. Does it need
So I'm not supposed to be here? Is that it? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well,
Lorenza, if you would like to, we can. Stephanie, if you can please go ahead and hit the interpretation.
Do you have Spanish speaking people in this group?
We may.
Okay, great. Okay.
We don't need you to translate over top of what I'm saying.
Okay. Just then, you signal me when you need me, all right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, just one little housekeeping thing so we can go ahead and enable that, because thank you for bringing that to our attention here. So Stephanie, if you would like, go down below to the interpretation chat. And then you'll see where you have a drop down. Please just enter in Lorenza's name and then hit start. And just give us a thumbs up when you're ready. And we appreciate everybody's patience, but we're a global community, isn't that right? Shouldn't we be having these kinds of problems? I think so.
That's exactly right. So we'll get this set up. Just a second. Thanks for your patience. And then once we have it set up, Lorenza can again interpret.
Okay, so Lorenza, we're gonna just give us a second and we're gonna reach out to you personally, okay? So we can let everybody move on. And Stephanie, I'll be giving you a call real quick. Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right, great. So we have come together. Thank you all, 115 of you. We have 738 delegates, but 115 of you are here. Please reach out to your fellow delegates at your center. Make sure everyone is voting today. That voting will start at 4 p.m. and it'll be the link that was emailed to you. We have 3 seats open on the Leadership Council, one for a minister, one for a practitioner, and one for a member. We have 2 seats available on the Ministers' Council, 2 seats available on the Practitioner Council, and 2 seats available on the Member Council. And so you'll be asked to vote for individuals in that election. And then we have the restatement of the organizational design model and bylaws. And so there's an opportunity for you to say yes to that. And again, that there's no change in the nature of and the meaning of what's in those 2 documents. The restatement is to remove the bylaw type items out of the ODM and land them in the bylaws so that the ODM is truly a visionary document. So at this time, the executive team wants to be available to you to answer any of your questions. And so if you do have a question, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand so that you come to the top of my screen. And what is the ODM? Yes, I say the organizational design model and the ODM together, but I probably need to be a little more specific about that. I just saw that chat. The O stands for organization, the D stands for design, and the M stands for model. So it is the organizational design model, and it is the model for our shared leadership style of organizing our agency. And I'm going to need to put the chat up. Okay, Sunshine Michelle has her hand up.
Dr. Alice, I know you just said this, but I would like for you to say it differently, perhaps. And I know the ballot will probably tell us. I was looking for it in the materials. I didn't see it. We're voting for 1 each for leadership slots, minister, practitioner, and layperson. And then for, I thought I heard you say 2 spots each on the other councils.
Correct.
Okay, so we get 2 votes for the councils, 1 for the leadership council.
Yes, that is accurate. And I know the election team is busy answering emails, but I believe you will not be able to vote for more than the allotted available people. Like you won't be able to vote for more than one minister position on the leadership council, but that's a great question. And so we do have all those interviews that Reverend Christine talked about, so that, and you've heard all the information about where we are as an organization, and so you'll want to look at those candidates from that lens and trust as Spirit guides you to will be the perfect people to be placed in position.
Awesome. And just to interject here real quick, we do have Spanish closed captioning available.
Great.
So
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions that our delegates would like to ask, or comments that our delegates would like to make at this point? Yes, Astrid.
all right. Disappeared on me, Astrid. If you would like to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand, located down under the more of the reactions. There you are. Glad to have you back. We'll add you here.
I put my hand down too quickly and I didn't realize you needed it. So, my question about the ODM vote is, I believe I saw that this is the 2nd year that this vote is being taken because there weren't enough delegates voting last time. How do we proceed this time if that does not pass again?
That's a great question. If it doesn't pass this time, I mean, last time it would have passed if we'd had a quorum, because there was 97% approval rating. So just statistically, I think it would have passed if we had a quorum. If it pass again, I think we're going to have to cross that bridge when we get to it. This has been this idea, and maybe there's some past leadership people who want to speak to this. David Alexander, I'm not mentioning you by name, but there might be some other people who might want to speak to the fact that the ODM was a document that was put together 13 years ago, and it's really needed a cleanup. And so this is not about changing who we are. And I think that we could better align ourselves if we want to change anything about who we are once we pass this resolution, because it'll be clear what's cultural and visionary versus what's required to, by law. And that's why they call them bylaws.
Awesome.
David, could you jump in real quick? Just unmute yourself. I see you there.
I've got them, and now you should be able to unmute yourself.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I think you said it perfectly well, and so I'll just take this opportunity to say thank you for your service, for your 6 years, and for your service as chair in particular. Done a great job. I've been cheering you on from the sidelines. And yeah, it's older than 12 years, right? Because it was written a year before we voted on it or so. So it's every year throughout the years we have made little changes, adjustments to things, moving things around, that sort of thing. But when I left a couple of years ago, we knew it needed a deep comb through and separation of things that were over here that should be over there, that kind of thing. With the first 10 years or so, we never got to that. It was always making adjustments to sort of improve the model itself. We made adjustments to terms. We adjusted from field field leader or whatever it was. I forget what it was. Yeah, I can't even remember what it was before. Lots of things like that. And then like after like the majority of that kind of stuff was done, then it was like, okay, we think this is more or less the organization we want. We know there'll be further revisions in the future, but now we need to do this major refresh and overhaul. So that's what this is. And I'm grateful for the team that's done the work.
Thank you, David. I will remind folks that the legal committee did the yeoman's portion of this work, really moving the bylaw information out of the ODM and into the bylaws. Tim Wagner, I see your hand up. If you'll.
Okay, I'm unmuted now, so you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Center for Spiritual Living Asheville. You and I sent you an email. We kind of bounced back and forth on this, and it's just in section 8.3, there's a portion that talks about transformation, and it says the leadership of Centers for Spiritual Living is constantly, intentionally seek to inform. And I think the wording is, I have no problem with what you're trying to say, but I think it's a grammatical thing. And I was wondering, since this is an international document that we're going to publish, that needs to be changed. It is strictly a grammatical correction. And I don't know how to go about recommending that, whether a motion from the floor to just change those few words or put a comma or do something in it.
Yeah, I have to check with our legal committee. I believe we could put a comma in, but I don't know. I mean, I think that's what we agreed upon. If there was just a comma between those two, I believe they were sort of like, I don't know the grammatical term, but they were both the same type of
Yeah.
And so we need a comma between them. And so I think we can get our legal committee to help us with that. And I believe that there's, I've seen it in other contract law that you can usually add a comma here or there as long as it doesn't change the nature. But I'm making all that up. We have to check with legal. So thank you.
Bridget McCann is online right now, and she's asking which section.
It's section 8.3, transformation. And I think it's in the first sentence.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's let Bridget take a look at that, and I'll
Yeah.
take this question from Reverend Rave, while Bridget looks that up. And I think she was very instrumental in all of this, and she'll be able to answer that question. Welcome, Reverend Rave. You're spotlighted.
Good afternoon. So I'm not sure if this is even a question that can be answered here. I've asked it for years and I still am not getting any clarity. Every place I vote on planet Earth, I get to know the results of the vote, except for Centers for Spiritual Living. We're never transparent about how many people voted or how many votes any particular candidate got. And the explanations that I've gotten have been horrifically fear-based, and all come down to, if we tell everybody the results of the vote, it will reflect negatively on the organization because delegates actually don't vote, and candidates will have hurt feelings if they find out what the vote was. Now, for me, organizationally and as a metaphysician, those are not actual explanations. They are fear-based excuses that argue for our limitations. And if we're going to say we operate with transparency, here's an opportunity to operate with transparency. That's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. I'll pass it along to our elections team. They're the ones that provide us with the information. And I know, just to be clear, we always let people know the actual outcome of the elections, obviously, or we wouldn't be able to move forward. But I believe what you're asking for is what percentage of delegates voted and what percentage of delegates voted for each position. Great. Bridget.
Right.
Yes, is it it's 8.3 of the ODM that is in question?
Yes, there's a kind of a difficult sentence in there. And
Yeah, I think it must have already been taken care of because I don't see where comma by, would the person who asked the question please tell me specifically where you were pointing to?
Tom Wagner, please come to the top. Again, raise your hand so that our tech can unmute you.
Have him, he's allowed to talk. He has his video off.
Okay. So Tom, if
Tim,
you would
are you
unmute-
here?
And now, okay, I'm back, I think.
Yes, you're here.
Yeah, just it's in the very first sentence of that section 8.3, and I have to get my phone because that's where it had it, but it says consistently, intentionally seeks. And it just seemed to me that it ought to say consistently and intentionally, or consistently, comma, intentionally seeks. It would just
Okay.
seem kind of awkward that no, constantly, intentionally seeks, the sender is.
Tom, I think your question must have already been resolved, perhaps because the way it reads is the leadership of Centers for Spiritual Living is constantly seeking to inform, comma, enlighten, comma, and inspire, and then the sentence goes on.
Okay,
So
it must have already
I think
been
it's
changed.
been
Yeah.
resolved, but if
Okay.
it needs a comma, Dr.
No, I
Alice
know.
put a comma in.
No, What you said is perfectly, yeah, what you said is perfectly clear. That solves the problem. It's just, and I'm
Yeah.
glad to see that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe what happened last time it went up for a vote is we did get some feedback from the field during the comment period, and we took those into consideration. So that may have been resolved at that time. But the copy I have is good to go. But if the copy you have, Dr. Alice, does not have a comma, because I did not in this moment access the one that's on the website for the vote. I accessed my personal files, but if it needs a comma, put a comma in. We're fine.
Hey, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Sunshine will comma again. Hello. Sorry, Sunshine. You just have such a beautiful name, and I love it.
Thank you. Okay. And I'm asking a lot of questions, huh? But anyway, it's all right. That's what this is for. So this kind of tags on to Rev Rafe's question. I think if you can, I'm sure the answer is pretty quickly, but I'm wondering more specifically when the results will be announced and when is the officer, when are the officers selected and announced?
Sure. The election will close at 4 o'clock on Friday Mountain Time. We then have to inform all the candidates. And then once all the candidates, so we have a team who will be at the ready. We will get the results, the nominating council, and then the nominating council will inform the candidates. And then once all the candidates have been informed, an email will go out. And I'm because it's so late in the week, and I don't think that our home office staff works on the weekends, that email will go out on Monday. And then it actually will probably come out about the same time that we're having a connection call at 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And when we inform all the candidates, we will be letting them know that we want them on the connection call so that each council can introduce their newly voted in and constituted group. So that's going to be a big part of the connection call on Monday. Your second part of your question is about when will we know the officers? The newly constituted Leadership Council will gather on March 19th, and they will select officers, and then they will share that information. Our favorite way to distribute information is our newsletter. Since that's happening on a Wednesday, I'll ask Stephanie to maybe mock up the announcement to go into the newsletter so that we can just drop in the names after the election on March, and I think that's March 19th next week. So I think that's reasonable that we could get it in the newsletter for Thursday. Great, thanks for your question. Stephanie, can I get a thumbs up for you? Does that work? Great. Any other?
All right, just scan in the audience here for anybody waving their hands in the air like they just don't care, and or in the virtual space. Love to see and hear your questions, comments. And as a reminder, the raise your hand is located down under the reactions or more tab. All right, Rob Ward.
Yeah, my questions is very simple. I'm a first-time delegate, so I'm just wanting some basic instruction. I saw the other email, but it was a little confusing. So could you just help a first-time voter through a few of what we do next pieces as far as our voting?
You have to be patient because the polls haven't opened yet. They will open at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Once they open, boy, you know what? I don't even think about it. I just go in and follow the instructions and vote. Is there somebody who can from elections who can just talk about how the link works and all of that, or maybe even bring up their screen if that's helpful? But I believe if you follow the email, do you have your email, Rob?
I do.
All right. If you have your email, you should have your credentials. And if you have your credentials, you just, if I remember correctly, you just log in and then the ballot comes up and then you click on the ones that you select. And most of the voting is about voting leadership into the councils.
Okay, so it's as simple as clicking on the link and that will take us to the ballot.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Click on the link. You do need your credentials. So, if you search your email at elections@csl.org, you'll see all the emails that they've sent you. And the first time you do it is great. Actually, the fact that I have been voting for, I've been a delegate for 12, 13 years. Every time I go in, it's my cookies remember me and take me in. So the first time you do it, it's easy. It's the hardest.
Alice, Rebecca and Dan are trying to answer some of those questions, but they can't unmute.
I have Rebecca should be able to unmute, and Dan, I'll go ahead and allow you as well.
Yeah, I think that I feel like the question was addressed, but if there are more questions, absolutely let us know. Your Simply Voting email as a delegate will have all of your information. It'll have the link, your elector ID, password, all of that. So hopefully it's a really seamless process. Thanks for being a delegate, Rob.
All right. Just scanning the room here, seeing if there's any other hands waving in the air. Oh, we've got Myrna. Myrna, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and join us.
Okay, I'm coming here. All right. Sorry. I hope that you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So hello, everyone. So I'm a delegate from Centro Merida, and of course, all my delegates, or the delegates from the center, are Spanish speakers. Many cannot attend right now because of work hours. So I am trying to keep them informed of, especially the ODM, because it might be a little more confusing. So I posted earlier if this is also in YouTube, which I understand there was going to be a link on YouTube as the email that I got, but also if it is being translated in Spanish, then I can share it. And before they vote, or if there's any questions from them, I'm able to answer them. I mean, I'm present in the meeting, but I might forget something. So I just want to verify as even not only in Merida, but like in the delegates that are part of the Spanish community.
And I can answer the quick version of that. So the YouTube link is inside of the chat, and I'll go ahead and post that in there again as well, Myrna, to help to spread that. As far as the closed captioning, I'm not sure if it's set up on the YouTube channel, but but they might be able to have the ability to use the closed captioning on the YouTube channel itself to do any type of translation. However, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would follow up with Stephanie later on just to see if we can help you out with that.
You're muted again. There you
Yeah,
go.
for some reason I got mute.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. I will
okay.
check. I will check. But I appreciate this. Is this, of course, this version that is being recorded will not be, actually, it's not being recorded, this one, right? No, it's not.
Being recorded in YouTube Live.
Okay. Right. That's what okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yes. And I just posted that link in there. So anybody else, feel free to share it with the other folks that you know are not able to make it here today. And it looks like Eliza, I'm going to go ahead and
Elzia.
ask you to come. Elzia, I apologize. I remember Mr. Elzia.
And you'll unmute yourself, please, sir.
Doing all right, we got there. I do not, I've looked for my link and everything on the elections. I got several from elections, but nothing with the link and credentials.
Had you
I got that it was closed and the questions and everything, but there's no link to go in and vote that I see from elections. So
Rebecca?
how do I handle that?
Just Rebecca to unmute herself. Here she is.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Hi, Rev. Yeah, you'll just want to
Hey.
email us, RevElzia at elections@csl.org, so we can work one-on-one with you and get it figured
Okay.
out. Yeah,
All
and
right.
you want to look for the emails from Simply Voting are the ones that are going to have the link for voting once the election opens up.
Okay. All right. I'll look. Once we open up, I'll look, and if I don't, I'll send something to the email because I got the one that says if you got troubles, send it there, but I didn't see the other one. Okay. Thanks.
Could somebody enter the Simply Voting? Was there a space or not space? Just what to search their email on? There it is. Vote at Simply Voting. Somebody put that in there. Try that in your search. Great. I don't know about you, but I have a hard time keeping track of my emails too. Yep, there's a lot
Mine
there.
came from Centers for Spiritual Living elections.
Okay.
Just to clarify that you may be getting it from that as well.
And
Great.
if you can't find it at all, elections@csl.org, and operators are standing by.
They're standing by God.
To help you out. It'll look like it's coming from CSL, says Dan, but the email address is a Simply Voting email address. Okay, great. Wonderful. Yes. Any other questions? We'd really want to support you.
Just scanning the audience here, seeing if I see anybody with their physical hands raised. Looking for any raise hand icons.
I think I'm going to call it.
Okay.
All right.
If there's no other further questions.
What are you going to call it?
I'm going to call it the formal close of our 2025 annual business meeting for Centers for Spiritual Living.
Sandra Jackson has her hand up.
See it in the wire. Here she comes. Unmute yourself, please.
I kept trying to unmute and I couldn't find the raised hand. I tried putting in that Simply Vote. I copied it and pasted it. It didn't come up. The Simply Vote. I'm with Elzia. I didn't have a link to vote either.
Put in Centers for Spiritual Living elections.
I
for
did.
CSL election
I-
2025.
I
And
am
Rev
very,
Sandra, if
Uh.
you will email us at elections@csl.org, we will totally walk you through it. No problem. We'd be
Okay.
happy to.
all right. Okay. All right. Thanks. So Elzia, you're not alone. Thank you. All right.
Unmute yourself,
Okay.
Elzia, because lips are moving, but I don't hear a thing.
The tech has to allow you to
She's
unmute.
unmuted.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sunshine, did you have your hand raised?
Oh, I did, but
unmute Elzia, please, because he's the one who's been.
somebody else was talking.
Okay. Elzia?
Well, while he's waiting,
you
is
go.
it possible, I signed off too quickly. I wanted to save the chat from the last meeting to go through some of the comments because they were so rich and juicy, and I forgot. Is it at all possible?
Stephanie, are we able to?
It should be.
Yes, we will, we recorded it and it does give a transcript of the chat. And so, I can forward that to you, Sunshine Michelle.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Appreciate it.
And I think if you go to watch the recording, there's push some buttons and you can get the chat as well. And Elzia, you have been given voice.
Yes, so just as a heads up to anybody who can't find it, I did find it. It was sent on February 20th, the one that I have. So it may be a ways back if you're looking for it. But I did find it, and the title is it's from Vote. The title of the email is Voting is now open, CSL election. Well, no, that's not actually the right one. Actually, I take that back.
I don't think that's the
not
right
That's
one.
way back in, that's 2023. So
Yeah,
forget
that's
that.
2022 too.
Yeah, I don't see the
Here's
one
what I
down
want
for
to
it.
do, Elzia. I want to close the meeting officially, and
Yep,
then
and
hang
I'll
out.
get in touch with Rebecca.
And then I want to hang out with y'all just for any of these little questions, and then we can release all the folks that feel complete.
Fair enough.
Val Benedict, is this just about your credentials, or is this about something overall? And unmute yourself.
Can't unmute. Oh, there. I just posted the link in the chat. It just came a few minutes ago, and I just copied it and posted it there. It's Centers for Spiritual Living.simplyvoting.com.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So I want to release all of you beautiful souls who have been hanging with us for the last 2 days. I want to release the staff who've been working behind the scenes to, bring all this amazing information to you. I want to thank all of you for joining us. The meeting is now closed, but I'll hang out and we'll see if we can answer the questions for folks. That concludes this meeting.
Thanks, Alice.
You're welcome. And Jan, I see your hands up. I'm happy to talk to you one-on-one and not officially.
Stephanie, before we do that, just protocol here. Stephanie, if you're here with us, if you go into the More section and you'll go to the live